In today's video, I'm going to show you the Billionaire Triad, or what some of my friends call Mitch G's Billionaire Triad, and really the difference between billionaires and millionaires and how they think and how they actually operate their life, their businesses, and the actual process of creating wealth. And I'm also going to go into how you can create generational wealth, and really this is what nobody talks about. Everyone's talking about real estate, crypto, all of these other things, and I'm going to show you really what it truly takes to create generational wealth for yourself and your family. Now, before we dive in, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. Hey, my name is Mitch Gonzalez, and in today's video, here's what we're going to cover. First, we're going to cover the difference between billionaires and millionaires and how they think and their mindset behind creating wealth. Then we're going to talk about detachment and how that creates compounded growth, and really how it's about the money until it's not about the money. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that later on in this video, but detachment is what creates compounded growth, and I'm going to explain why and how that is and how you can apply it to your life and business. Then we're going to go into what I call momentum stacking. I've talked about this many times, but I'm going to dive into that and actually how this applies to creating generational wealth and how you can apply it and really compound your growth in your life, in your business, and really just overall in your finances and truly create that generational wealth. Then we're going to go into the Billionaire Triad and what my friends call it, Mitch G's Billionaire Triad, because I've only taught this to my close circle of friends, of entrepreneurs. I've taught this to my team, and really how I think about this and how I really think about creating generational wealth, because there's many ways on how you can do it, but if there's a triad and what I'm going to dive into and how you can kind of piece them together to fit into it. And this will really just give you an aha moment, like, oh, I kind of see what he means by this, and I've tried these different things, but this makes so much sense. And then I'm going to show you how you can apply that, because once you understand this, you're going to just absolutely be able to compound your wealth, your growth, your business, and it's just going to be a lot more simple because you're going to have that clarity on what you should be focusing on. So without further ado, let's dive in. So the first thing I want to dive into is a difference between a billionaire and a millionaire thinking, right? And the mindset behind it. And not necessarily of like, oh, if you want to become a billionaire, but just really how you can think like a billionaire. And that's what's going to help you really just grow in all facets of your life, okay? And so how billionaires think, and I've studied many different billionaires. I read a ton of biographies. I watched a ton of interviews. I've spoken to billionaires and millionaires. And I'll just explain the difference between I see it and the difference between a lot of these people in the marketplace today. Like all these gurus, all these people flashing their Lamborghinis and everything online. And really, maybe this is even how you're running your business, right? And so I'm going to explain the difference between these and how you can transcend this kind of even small level thinking, I would call it, into this much larger, expansive view on what's really possible in your life and how you can fulfill your ultimate potential. Because I don't know about you, but I want to fulfill my ultimate potential. And I don't want to just limit myself to one core thing. I want to be able to expand and grow in all areas. And so this is what I want to explain. So this is how most aspiring millionaires and millionaires kind of operate their life and their business, okay? So I'll explain it like this. They have themselves, right? And then they have their business, right? So I'm just going to draw like a laptop, right? Because most people work remote, right? And so this is your business, right? And so most people that are operating their business typically as like a one-person operator, meaning they're the core CEO or the founder of their business, right? And this is how they're running it. They have themselves, maybe they have some contractors, maybe they have some people that are on their team, but they're the ones that are like the team in a sense. They're the owner, they're the founder, and they're the core person running the business, okay? And then they're operating their business and they're generating revenue, right? They're generating the revenue from their business. Then what they're doing is they're putting it into like their business account, and their personal accounts are essentially the same. So meaning like when they make money with their business, they're actually personally making the money. So when they're making say $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 a month, that's primarily going to them. Obviously less some expenses and paying some of their team members, but most of that money is going into their bank account, right? And they're operating that bank account and they see it as their money, right? And this is the thing. Then what they do is they go and they see all these guys on YouTube and all these people on these different social platforms flashing their Lamborghinis and their Bitcoin accounts. And so what they do is they want to go and take this funds and they go and they put it into investments, right? They either put it into crypto, real estate, stocks, etc. And they put it into investments, right? These are investments, right? Which there's nothing wrong with this, right? So this is how most people operate, and this is kind of the traditional route, and how I think probably you think about this, and how many, many different people think about this, and probably what you've been taught, what you read in books. And again, this is one way to do it, right? And this is like for people that, again, millionaire thinking, 1 to like 10 million, right, in net worth. Maybe they'll do like 20 million over their year, over the span of their lifetime, but typically they'll range between 1 to 10 million, right? That's like a typical millionaire, multimillionaire kind of level of thinking, right? And again, there's nothing wrong with this, right? And I'm going to explain later when we get into the Billionaire Triad how you should think about this, and it's actually it's a decent way of running it, right? But I want to explain the different way. This is a millionaire, right? So this is the millionaire thinking, right? So this is like the millionaire mindset, right? Again, there's nothing wrong with it, but how billionaires think is they have themselves. And so the reason why I'm explaining this is because I was talking with my team, and the way that we operate and the way that I've been operating is from this kind of frame where you have yourself and you have your team. So this is like a core team, like a core executive team of business partners or people that are in the business that are actually a part of the business, right? They have maybe some equity in the business. They're like a partner. These are A players that you're on your team, right? And how you have it is you have a team and it transcends the personal. This, I look at it as this is more selfish in the sense of like you're trying to build your personal net worth, which again, there's nothing wrong with that. And I actually think it's a good thing to do, right? But again, if you want to transcend and almost see from this next level and expand and really just, truly fulfill your ultimate potential and what is possible for yourself in your life, you got to kind of transcend this. And this is really, really hard to do, okay? I'll tell you this, it was probably the hardest thing I ever had to do besides building my program, which I spent 16 months building. But this is like being able to detach yourself from being that core center of, building the business, right? So you have to detach and start building the team around it, right? And now it transcends from you getting wealthy to how do you spread and how do you build wealth for others? And this is how Jeff Bezos thinks. How do you think he's been able to create a $1.6 trillion business with Amazon? It's because he's thinking like this. And that he even said, he's like, I own like 20-something% of Amazon, and that means I made like 80%, of these other people so much more money. So I made 200 billion, but I've made other people 1.4 trillion or something like that, right? And so you can see that's how he kind of transcended this like individually focused, almost like selfish state of creating wealth, okay? And so how you look at it is you have the team now. It's transcending from yourself to your team, right? And now you have the business. So we'll just, have the same sort of business, right? Laptop. Most of us is remote now, right? You have the business, and then you generate the revenue, right? And what happens is now you're feeding it into the business account, and then you have the funds going into the business account, right? And you're feeding that back into the business, right? So you have this like feedback loop, right? Where you're taking it and you're compounding the growth and compounding the wealth. And this is what I explain is detachment creates compounded growth, meaning you're detached from the money. Because I'll tell you this, when you're here, you'll be making more money in the short term, right? You'll be making 30, 50, 100K a month, right? Depending on how well you grow your business. But here you'd be making like, say, just taking a salary. Typically what we do in our business and my founders, right? We just take a small salary compared to the amount of money we make, and we reinvest all the money back into the business, into assets, into IP, into growth, into marketing, into salespeople, into hiring other people, into resources, tools, systems, right? And we're reinvesting back into the business, right? And we've detached ourselves from this, right? And again, from the business, we just pay ourselves a small, salary from the business. I mean, it's still multiple six figures, but it's still small compared to if you were to do it by yourself, right? And getting all the money from the revenue as your personal income, okay? And so you transcend this, right? Now, if you look at this, say you're taking the funds from the business, right? If you're taking the funds here from the business into your personal, right? And then you're putting it into these different asset classes, right? you may make like 8 to maybe 20% a year if you're lucky, right? But then you contrast with this is you can have literally 1,000% growth year over year, right? You could literally grow 1,000% in sales, right, over time, because you're literally compounding it, because you're reinvesting it. It's just, going in this hyper feedback loop and being able to grow and expand the wealth. And with this, the business has a North Star, right? The North Star is they have a goal that they're trying to reach, right? They have a vision, a mission that they want to accomplish, and it's big, it's massive, it's gnarly, right? And here, the typical goal is just to build their net worth, maybe buy a couple Lamborghinis, maybe buy some Pateks or some Audemars Piguet watches, right? And here, you're trying to build true generational wealth, right? Because you're transcending yourself, and then you're focusing on the team, and you're focusing on building a real, true business that can actually scale. And this is truly how you can have this exponential, like, hockey stick growth curve, right? Where you go from, like, 1 million in sales, right? Like 0 to 1 million, right? Then next thing you know, you go to 6 million, right? Now you're at 12 million. Now you're at 36 million, right? Now you're at like 350 million. Now you're at like, 1.2 billion, right? And you're compounding the growth of the business, right? And this is what truly creates, again, literal, like, generational wealth. Can you create generational wealth doing this other way? Yes, you can, compound this and have a net worth of 30, 50 million. You can absolutely do this. You can actually take this pretty far as well. Again, it depends on your goals. But if you want to truly transcend and really create a massive empire and fulfill your ultimate potential and however far you want to go, and this is really how you can create real generational wealth. And I say this is like a pool full of billions that my kids swimming in, right? Because when you go through this process, you have like a pool and you're stacking this up, because if you have a small piece of a larger pie, you're able to compound the growth and you're able to actually, make a lot more money in the long term. But in the short term, this is what I'm saying, detachment from the short term and focus on the actual long-term gratification rather than the short-term instant gratification of making money, going and feeling it into your lifestyle. You're going to be able to compound your growth so much more. Even if you want to eventually get into this, you absolutely can. Now let's talk about the Billionaire Triad, okay? And so there's 3 main components or elements of the Billionaire Triad, okay? And so to really create this compounded growth, again, whether you want to be a billionaire or not, this is how you want to think like a billionaire, right? So you can compound this, and this is how you're going to make a lot more money in the long term, okay? So here's how you want to think about it. So here, what you want to do is, most people do this. They focus on generating passive income, right? These are passive investments, right? This is, again, like crypto, this is stocks, this is real estate. These are these types of things, right? Where you're putting it in and you're trying to get wealth creation out of it. Most people start here with passive investments, right? Or they do active investments, right? Where they're doing basically, like, again, day trading, or they're trying to put money in and get money out, like flipping houses, or they're trying to, buy businesses and flip them, right? Those are more active investments, right? And then really what you want to focus on is increasing your income, right? Increasing your income so that you can feed it into these other areas. So a lot of people, they focus on these areas first, right? Building multiple streams of income, right? I'm sure you heard that many, many times. But really what you should be focusing on is having one stream of income flow like a waterfall, right? Having this just flowing into your actual bank account and stacking your cash reserves, okay? So you need to focus here on increasing your income, which is increasing revenue, increasing sales, really scaling the business, right? If that's your core element and the means of generating your actual income is through the business, right? Focus on increasing the revenue, right? This is generating systems, having processes in place, building a team, right? This is then transcending, like going from the one person view to a multiple people view and having a team view so you can compound the business, right? And so here you want to focus on increasing your income, right? Then what you want to do is you can either feed it into these passive investments, but really the better view is feed it into an active investment, right? And I'll tell you this, what's the best active investment you can reinvest into? Your business, right? Because it's an active investment. You put money in. For example, I could put money into YouTube ads or Facebook ads, and I can get out a consistent compounded return on that growth. I can go and take this funds and put it into software, put it into hiring salespeople, right? Hiring more staff, support staff, right? So I can scale and grow my business, right? And then it will in turn feed back into increasing your income, which then you can feed back into your business, and you just compound this growth. And then again, over time, once you amass a nice fortune, right, you build up your cash reserves, you start having, millions of dollars liquid, tens of millions of dollars liquid. Then you can go and think about feeding it into more passive investment streams, which you want to focus on cash flowing assets, right? Cash flowing assets that then feed back into increasing your income, right? And it's this big feedback loop and a flywheel effect once you have all these things going, right? And this is, again, cash flow is in terms of multifamily units, right? So having multifamily or single family, like a large fund of those, right? And being able to that produce cash flow every single month, right? You're investing into it, but it's spitting out cash flow month in, month out. This also passive income could be buying businesses, right? Businesses, it could be, again, multifamily real estate, right? It could be other means that are going to produce cash flow, okay? Because then that can feed back into here, which you can reinvest back into your active investments. Another example of active investments is, again, like more flipping houses or day trading stocks or currencies, right? You can feed it into that, right? I used to be really big into day trading currencies, commodities, and options as well. And so really just focusing on creating an increase in the income so you can have the cash, because, for example, if you go into invest into here, but you only have like 10 grand, the same percentage that you try and make on 10 grand, you can make with, say, 10 million, right? The same percentage. Say you're making 10%. Now you're making 1 million a year off your investments, rather than making, if you have 10 grand, making $1,000, right? And so that's why you want to focus on increasing your income first, then feed it into active investments, right? Which is your business, increasing your income, then feeding it into more passive investments and having this flywheel effect, okay? So this is the Billionaire Triad, okay? The key takeaways are focus on increasing your income, meaning increasing your revenue, growing your business, and focusing on one thing. You don't want to focus on 10 different things, right? You don't want to have this view. You want to be focused on one thing and taking that and building a team around it, right? Building your business, focusing on the one thing and just feeding it back through constantly. This is how billions are made. Then once they amass a fortune, then they go and they find really smart people and they, have other things to create cash flow that pays for their lifestyle, pays for their toys, pays for their, beach houses, pays for their planes, pays for their jets. That's how they work, right? That's how they do it, okay? So this is how you want to think, and this is the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire, how they think, and this is the Billionaire Triad, or which we call Mitch G's Billionaire Triad, because this is how I think about it, and I've never heard this or seen this anywhere. This is how I've just conceptualized it. And so again, you want to focus on one thing, right? Then you want to reinvest that into your business, compound the growth. Then you can look into putting it into passive investment streams. And that's how you really compound and create true generational wealth. Hopefully you found massive value in today's video. So if you like this video, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and shoot me a comment below. What was your biggest takeaway? What kind of aha moments did you have? I respond to all the comments. So comment below, let me know your takeaways, and I'll see you in the next one.